Hello and welcome to Agrestal Vestige yet again this week. My name is Tom and we're here with another blended Scotch whiskey review. This week we have J&B blended Scotch whiskey. J&B stands for Justerini and Brooks. And hey, look at that green bottle. You guys know what that means. It means they went light on the coloring, if they colored it at all. Lovely, beautiful color. Like that. Anyway, Justerini and Brooks has been around a long time. Now, they're not a distiller. No, they started out in the 1700s, I think it was. 1749. As a wine merchant in London. And like most merchant shops back in the day, they would, they dealt in more than wine, obviously, even though they were predominantly a wine merchant. But they would get barrels of different whiskeys in and blend them together and put them out under a name. Johnny Walker did that. Lots of people did that. But anyway, this is a very accessible whiskey. It's available in most places that you go on earth. It's at a very reasonable price point, and I think it's quite a reasonable blended Scotch whiskey. Let's nose it, shall we? The first thing you get when nosing this is a lovely, sweet, smoky nose. Now, apparently they have over 42 whiskeys in here that they've craftfully blended together to make this. But the first thing that hits you is a nice, pleasant, soft, sweet, smoky note. And you get a little powdered sugar. You definitely get those the spice side notes of the fruits, like fresh fruits like apples and pears. They're definitely present there. There's that spice sidey type element to this. With the fresh fruits, definitely. But the smoke in this, I think, is Kalila. I think that's one of the main malts that they're using in here to provide the smoke. That's just my opinion. But since this is a Diageo product, and so is Kalila, it would either be Kalila, Lagavulin, Talisker, those that are in their portfolio, but this smells and tastes a bit like Kalila as far as the smokiness. What else do we have on the nose? It's like a rich, buttery pastry. It's a real sweet grain whiskey note. I should have put this away. But it's not grain rich at all. It's just a nice, a well crafted grain whiskey. You got the sweet notes to that, and that's what's in this. A little bit of honey. Almond. Maybe. Yeah, almond. I mean, it's lovely on the nose. Yeah, what about the taste? Again, not grain rich whatsoever. You get a light fruitiness, like younger fruits. It's a light spiciness as well. Leaning toward clove, maybe, but there's a light spiciness to it. You do get the typical vanilla. You get just that nice smokiness. There is a light citrus note to it. Lemon lime, like a citrus zest, that's coming through. But that creme brulee, that pastry type smoky flavor is it's nice. And another thing that you don't have, well, I'll wait and see when I add the water. But anyway, on the finish is rather medium. It's a bit dry, but you can tell this is a very well blended Scotch whiskey, because what you get on the nose, the palate, the finish, it's just there. It's continuous. What you get on the nose, when you get on the initial arrival, it builds in the development and goes on into the finish. It's a nice, evenly balanced, which means even, properly blended whiskey. Now, this is bottled at just 40%. So I'm not going to add much water, but I'm going to add, some to see if it'll bring out the flavors or what it'll do to it. I'm going to add 2 milliliters. Yeah, this is bottled at 40%. Now, Justerini Brooks, it has a rare distinction of having, I believe, some of the most royal warrants of any whiskey. Let's see, how many royal warrants does this have? Yep, by appointment to Her Majesty the Queen, Wine Merchant, Justerini Brooks Limited, St. James Street, London. Let's see, by appointment to their late majesties, King George III, King George IV, Queen Victoria, King George V, King William IV, King Edward VII, King George VI, and to the late Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, at the time 1921 to 1936. Now, I don't think there's any other whiskey that has warranted that many royal warrants. That's quite a lot. The fact that they don't use color in this, the fact that it's in a green bottle, the fact that it's well blended, I mean, it's very appealing for the price point of like 25 pounds, dollars, euros. Wherever you may be, it's roughly around that. Now, after adding the water, let's see if anything changed. It actually brought the smoke out a little bit more present. It's even more confectionery now. More of those fruit notes, the apples, the pears, the peaches. Lovely. Okay, now after adding the water on the palate, you get like a toasted cereal note to it. Green apples. There's a soft floral element in there. Lemon peel. Those are things that come out a little bit more predominantly and been added with the addition of water. Only 2 milliliters in a standard pour. But that light spiciness and the citrus and the smokiness is lovely. And I'll tell you something else that you get with a lot of blends that you don't get with this blend. There's no bitterness in the finish. And you know why that is? Typically because they use proper cask. A lot of blenders will use second and third and fourth fill cask. And the more they use them, the more the liquor, the alcohol, strips away all the flavors, typically of vanilla and caramel and toffee and such like that, and you're just left with those tannins, and that rich tannic bitterness is predominant in a lot of cheaper blends. It's not the case here, which indicates that they're using proper first, second fill casks, which lends a lot to their credit, you know. Yeah, yeah, again, like I said, no bitterness at all. The whole experience of this whiskey is very well balanced. Like I said, I think there's 42 different whiskeys that make up this blend. And to get 42 whiskeys to meld together properly, you have to be a pretty good blender. You just can't chuck things in a vat quickly and then bottle them. They have to be slowly married together. It takes time, and it takes a lot of, well, decades really, of knowledge of knowing what flavors work with what and which whiskeys to choose. It had been years since I'd even bothered with J&B because, you know, 25, 30 years ago was probably, you know, the last time I'd had it up until recent times. And, you know, your palates change. Everybody's palates change. Your tastes change. And after revisiting this, I think is a very nice blended Scotch whiskey that you can drink any time of the year in any situation. It's not really a cold weather whiskey or a warm weather whiskey like a lot of things are. It's just a all-round good dram for any time you choose. So in saying that, how would I rate this? Marks out of 100. I think really for a blended Scotch whiskey, it's not simple. It has a lot of integrity in the blend for as far as making a blend, that is. Even though it's low ABV, it does go light or no color. It is in a green bottle. It's got abundant information on the label. It doesn't leave you wondering. And it's a very old and reliable company. And because of that, I would give this about an 88 out of 100 as a blended Scotch whiskey. I'm enjoying this, but the smoke, it's a very lovely, unique smokiness to this, and you just don't get this anywhere else. That's it for today. Bye-bye.